welcome to Half the Battle. As I mentioned last week, today we're taking a look at the G.I. Joe's resident firefighter, Barbeque. His first figure was released in 1985 with all original body parts. Like several figures from this time, his look is based less on a military uniform and more on his own speciality. This happened quite a bit. Other examples from this time include Airtight, that we've seen before, and Quick Kick. Oh, this guy's day will come. In fact, I plan to dedicate the entire Q season to him. I sort of have to, because he's the only one who has a name that starts with the letter Q, but still. Anyway, Barbeque. This figure does a good job conveying his function. You can definitely see there's a firefighter there, with a slightly futuristic bend. His helmet, which isn't removable by the way, looks pretty cool. It does make it seem like he has a goofy grin, though actually, well, that's quite appropriate given his personality. His chest has a nice detailed canister molded on it. I'm gonna assume this is an air supply of some kind. He also has a neat little symbol on his right upper arm, denoting that he's a firefighter, as if you needn't any more proof. Overall, I'd say this is a pretty nice figure already, but it gets awesome once you take into account all the stuff that he comes with. Like many figures of the time, such as Airtight again, he comes with a great set of appropriate accessories. First, we have the fire axe. It's pretty cool, and it uses two colors, when most, if not all small accessories from that time, usually only had one color, the color they were molded in. Secondly, he comes with a small set of stuff that forms one whole. He has a red foam tank that snaps into his backpack, with a tube connecting it to the nozzle gun. It's a neat and intricate setup. He even has a small peg on his leg that you can attach the gun to. The only negative point I can find here is that, well, there's really no reason for the red tank and the backpack to be two separate pieces. By themselves, they look pretty goofy, especially since the tank is just a hollow piece of plastic. If it had been a solid piece, well, it would have looked good on its own. Overall, this is another excellent figure from the golden age of G.I. Joe. So let's now take a look at the second figure he comes with. Okay, this one's gonna require some explanation. Starting in 1988, Hasbro got in the habit of repainting and re-releasing toys in new sub-themes. The reason for this was quite simple, of course. Money, of course! Creating new molds is expensive, so reusing molds to create repaint saves a ton of money. And I guess it's nice in a way. I mean, kids could pick up characters that they missed the first time around and weren't available anymore. The whole repaint bonanza started off with Tiger Force, a bunch of repainted stuff with Tiger cameo. In 1989, another subgroup was created, this time called Slaughter's Marauders, a rapid strike force under the command of Sergeant Slaughter. No duh. It consisted of repainted figures. Horribly repainted figures. I mean, come on! It looks like somebody just threw buckets of paint at them to see what would stick. I'm not sure what camouflage this is supposed to be, because I can't think of anything they'd blend into. So, yeah, part of that line was Barbeque. I don't actually mind the blue on his head so much as the rest of the color scheme. It just doesn't look right to me. The second figure is quite forgettable. In 1992, Barbeque got his third and final figure in the original toy line. This one! While he doesn't look like the traditional image of a firefighter, but let's be honest here, the first two didn't either, he does look like a firefighter in a hazmat suit. There's a very good reason for that. This figure was part of the Eco Warriors team. And here's where I have to go on a tangent again. You see, back in 1991, bandwagon enthusiasts Hasbro decided to get in on the ecology craze that was in no way sweeping the nation. Like other instances I've mentioned, like Jurassic Park and Ninja Turtles, Hasbro saw something popular and wanted in on it. In this case, they were probably inspired by Captain Planet to form their own anti-pollution task force. The Eco-Warriors. Thankfully, there's no sign of the power of heart being involved. As an aside, as I was writing this, I found out they're making a new Captain Planet movie. Wow, they're really scraping the bottom of that barrel, aren't they? I guess the only thing left after that will be a new Rock Lords franchise. Yeah, those were rocks that turned into robots. Really. The Eco-Warriors had two gimmicks. One was that they had weapons that squirted water. Fun for the kids, I suppose. The other was that the water made the figures themselves change color. Unfortunately, this discoloration tends to become permanent after a while, leading to the figures getting uglier as time goes on. In the case of Barbeque, this is especially unfortunate, as when you spray him with water, his discoloration is brown, including his pants. Yeah.
What's that smell?
Still, if we can put that aside, I'd have to say that out of all the Joe Eco-Warrior figures, Barbeque is probably the best looking one. And, you know, at least a firefighter has an actual reason to have a cannon that shoots water. Yeah, when it comes to Eco-Warriors, I'd say Barbeque is the flower that grew out of the manure. And that's the second poop joke in as many minutes. This show is really going downhill, isn't it? Anyway, I think I'll eventually have to dedicate an episode to each one of these sub-teams that's cropped up over the years, like the Eco-Warriors and Tiger Force. Don't hold your breath, though. It's not on the schedule or anything. It's just something that I'll eventually get to, like Zartan.
You fools!
Shut up, Zartan. Anyway, it's on to the character now. And his file card is a fun one. The first part of the file card tells us that if Barbeque hadn't become the GIJoe team's firefighter, he would have been the 7th generation of his family to join the Boston Fire Department. That's cool and all, but the thing is, he didn't become a firefighter because it was a family tradition. He's just an adrenaline junkie. He loves riding the fire truck and breaking down doors with an axe. So, it was either that or become an axe murderer, I suppose. The second part of his file card mentions that he's a party dude. He can open a bottle with his teeth, pick up quarters with his ears, and wrap his lips around the bottom of a quart Coke bottle. And I'm so happy that I wear a mask when I do this show, because that way it's impossible for me to try and see if any of that is actually advisable or even possible. By the way, this is the first instance of product placement that I've come across on the file cards, and it's for something completely unrelated to GIJoe. The word Coke on the file card even has a copyright symbol on it. That's sort of weird. I don't know if this reference was inadvertent or actually paid for. All I know is that they took out the Coke reference on the 2008 reprint of the file card. They just call it a quart of soft drink there. There really isn't that much to say about Barbeque in the comics. He shows up every now and then, but he's never the focus of a story. He did get decked by Scarlet once, though, for making a disparaging remark about Storm Shadow, who was in the middle of becoming a good guy, sort of, at the time. As far as the cartoon goes, well, you've seen last week's episode, haven't you? They followed the file card pretty well here. He is a party animal. He throws a house party for the GIJoe team, and he doesn't mind that they trash the place. In fact, he was counting on it, so it would make his house feel more lived in. The only thing about him in the cartoon that I dislike a little bit is his accent. It's way too thick. But it is appropriate. I mean, the guy is from Boston.
Well, looks like my party is a success. Hello?
Mr. Barbeque, this is the Viper.
The Viper? I couldn't have heard you right. What'd you say?
Barbeque is one of the few Joes whose family we get to see in the cartoon. His father shows up in Captives of Cobra, a two-part episode where Cobra kidnaps the relatives of a bunch of Joes. And they once again follow the file card pretty closely here by having his dad be a fireman.
You know, I wish they had paid attention to all the characters' file cards when creating the cartoon.
Cobra Commander knows I can't read.
Nope, still not over that.
Barbeque even shows up in the Deke opening miniseries Operation Dragonfire, though it's with the wonderful Slaughter's Marauders outfit. And he doesn't actually have a single line in the whole show. What a chip. So here's my conclusion. I really liked his original figure, and he has a great personality to go with it. Consider picking this toy up. Hell, consider picking up two and swapping his head with another figure, so you can have an unmasked version. It's easy to do, and you get a second version of the toy. The second toy suffers from a bad paint job, but it's not that bad. The third one, well, that's one of the few things I like from the Eco Warriors line, so it isn't all that bad either.
Well, see you next week, everybody, when we'll take a look at one of the major characters from G.I. Joe.